Hey there, it's Lenny McGill with the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop right here in San Diego, California, and I've got something very, very exciting to show you today because it's the next generation of one of our best-selling products, and that's the Tungsten Guide Rod. We call it Pure Tungsten because, in fact, this new guide rod is made of pure tungsten, and it is a lot heavier. Now, you know that the weight of the guide rod is what helps reduce recoil. The factory guide rod that comes with the Glock Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 has a plastic base to it. It bends, they do break, and they're lightweight, which contributes to the snappiness of your Glock. Now, especially with a .40 caliber, you will feel a significant difference with the heavier guide rods. And now, as most of you know, over the course of the past 15 years, we have offered a tungsten guide rod. It's a tungsten copper blend to be exact, because it's a little easier to machine and to work with because it's softer. As most of you know, tungsten's very, very dense, very hard. The copper tungsten blend that we have sold has been very popular, very well received. It really makes a huge difference in the way the gun shoots. Again, here's the plastic, here's the copper tungsten blend. Watch this now. And this is gonna blow you away. This is my scale. This is, I've had this for probably 25 years. It's Dillon Precision, little D-Terminator scale. It does grains as well as grams. I've got it on the grams right now. Looks like it's gonna zero out here, and we'll get it zeroed, and we'll get ourselves going here. Let's go, here we go. Okay, here's the plastic. Let me measure that for you. That's gonna come in at approximately, say, 10.25. Okay, that's our plastic factory guide rod. Here is the original tungsten guide rod, 43.58. So basically 4 times as heavy, right? And now, here's the tungsten guide rod, which is gonna come in at 54, another 10 grams, 11 grams to be exact. So basically 5 times the weight of the factory plastic. What makes the pure tungsten so special is that extra weight. You can feel it just by feeling them side by side. Again, original tungsten comes in at right around 43. The new super heavy pure tungsten, 54. It's a big difference, okay? Another 25% basically. So the concept is sound, and as you know how these work, is the recoil on your Glock is introduced by the action of the slide, as well as the explosion of the round inside the chamber. So the slide comes back, the gun wants to lift up based upon that inertia, and then it wants to, as it comes forward, it wants to settle down. With the tungsten guide rod, and now the super heavy tungsten guide rod under there, it reduces a lot of that muzzle flip, as well as felt recoil in the hand, and reduces a lot of the motion or movement of the gun as you shoot it. Now, what does that allow you to do? Well, it allows you to see the sights faster for the next shot. So you can shoot faster groups and better groups. Not only can you pull the trigger faster because you're back on target faster, but also you have less tendency to have the group spread because the gun's not jumping all over the place. I mean, it's really simple to understand the concept, so don't want to beat it into your heads there, in a sense that it is so amazingly powerful. It's one of those items when you take home and you actually try it, you think, wow, why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't they do that from the factory? This is the one item that when people buy one, they come back and buy another and buy another and buy another. So I've always looked to perfect it and to make it even better. And for years, we really couldn't work with pure tungsten. And now we've figured out a way to actually machine this down and allow you to have a pure tungsten guide rod that weighs significantly more than the tungsten copper blend that we're using. We're gonna still offer both because this one is kind of pricey, all right? Because the tungsten is so expensive itself, but also because it's so hard to work with, it takes so much longer to work with. We offer it in a couple different ways, and we're gonna offer for many different guns. We're gonna offer it uncaptured, just like that, just the bare rod itself, or with the spring captured, which is probably the most convenient way. Now, when you buy it uncaptured, you've got to select a spring weight. So the uncaptured version comes just like that. There's no hole to capture this spring here, no screw to capture the spring, and the spring goes on just like so. We offer springs, these are flat wire springs that can press very flat. As you see, the wire is flat itself. We offer springs in an 11 pound, a 13 pound, this is the 15 pound, a 17 pound, a 20 pound, and a 22 pound. So basically 6 different spring weights that you can mix and match very easily just by taking it out, put a new spring on, and really kind of play with which spring weight works best for you, because everybody's got different ammo, everybody's got different technique, and I will tell you this, a lot of competition shooters like to play with the spring weight to adjust to their cadence of being able to pull the trigger. So the gun's gonna always have a little bit of muzzle rise, and if you put a different spring in there, it rises a little bit differently. So some guys, will play with that, and they'll be able to double tap faster based upon the cadence of the motion of the slide and the gun and all that other things. But I will say this, that the tungsten guide rod, the super heavy tungsten guide rod, is our heaviest guide rod ever, and it's going to help reduce recoil significantly. Again, to put one of these in is very simple. Go ahead and field strip the gun by pulling back on the slide just about 1/4 of an inch, and pull down on the slide lock, both sides, hold it down, and then walk the slide off. Make sure you hold the slide so it doesn't fall off and hit the table. So once you have it in your hand, you can turn it upside down. There's the factory plastic rod. Take that guy off. Let's come back over here. I'll just measure this one too, just to see. That comes in again, same thing, 10.45. All right, here's our tungsten, or should I say pure tungsten, super heavy guide rod. And this one, again, just to look at it, again, 53. So we're gonna go ahead and slip right in like so. And that's it, that's the installation process. And then we put the slide back on top. It's so simple and so easy, but you can actually feel a little bit more balance in the gun. It gives a little bit more weight out front here. Really helps kind of center the gun, and that's an interesting concept, because it feels to me that the weight is more centered right here in this area, and so it has little less chance to jump. And that's what we're talking about here. Because it's not going to jump so much, you're going to be able to get back on target faster, and you're going to be able to shoot tighter, faster groups. In fact, a lot of our competition shooters who use a red dot optic, who've been experimenting with a super heavy, because we've been R&Ding it for here a couple months, they are reporting that they can actually shoot with their red dot optic, and as they shoot, the red dot never comes out of the glass, which is very unusual. Usually what happens, you shoot, boom, and the gun comes back into play, and there's the red dot kind of lifts up based upon their hold and all that. But we're seeing now, because of that super heavy weight, that red dot is not disappearing. It is just not as much recoil. The gun's not rising, so they're able to keep that red dot in the glass and shoot faster, which is really what it's all about. So that's the installation for the Gen 3 versions. This is, say, 17. It's a very simple in and out. We've got them for the 17, we've got them for the 19. Of course, we also have them for the Gen 4 and Gen 5. So let me show you that real quick. This is Gen 4 34. It's, of course, unloaded. Pull the trigger in a safe direction. I'm going to go ahead and pull the slide off the same way. Come back on the slide a little bit. Pull down on the slide lock, both sides, hold it down, and then walk the slide off, being careful not to let it fall. And there we go. There's our lower, and there's the upper, and this is the factory Gen 4 rod. So let's go ahead and weigh that real quick. And this is really interesting. And I've done this before, so I'll let you know why it's interesting. Because this one comes at about 19 grams. All right, 19.56, I believe, is the number. And now let's take the Now let's take our existing original tungsten guide rod. Okay, this is the one with a copper tungsten blend that we sell. We sell a ton of these for Gen 4 guns. And that comes in at, what does that say? 51.78. Okay? So now, let me show you the replacement, the super heavy tungsten guide rod that is going to be for your Gen 4 and Gen 5. And the way we do this is we have a solid rod and we have what we call a retaining ring. And the retaining ring goes around the rod, and it actually helps retain the rod in the slide. So what we do is we take our retaining rod and we actually put it into here, okay? And then the guide rod would go basically through here like such. Now, of course, we'll put a spring on first, and you'll see it'll rest itself right out there like that. So then you have the full rod. Now let's go ahead and weigh this before I get it and install it. And what you're gonna find is gonna error out on this scale because it's too heavy. That's a good problem to have, right? All right, so I brought another scale in because I knew that was gonna happen, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this display as well. So let's just see what happens here real quick. Maybe hard, you may have to zoom in a little bit. It said 0 right now. I'm gonna drop this on here, and this one weighs in at 90. 90. I knew you couldn't really see it well, but it's 90 right here, grams. So, you know, basically double the weight of the original tungsten, which we have at like 52, and then this factory plastic was only 19. So it's almost, you know, 5 times the weight of the factory plastic, which is pretty phenomenal. So this guy is awesome, and it goes in like so. So you basically take your adapter ring, and this will come with it, and it goes into the front, or say the back end of the nose ring of the G34. So we take our spring and just drop it right over top of the guide rod. I'm going to go ahead and compress it around the rod itself, and then get the rod started in the hole here, and get that thing started, and then drop it right down where it's supposed to go. And it, you know, not quite as easy as it looked that time, but you get the idea. You want to capture that spring inside there. The beauty of this is that the rod extends all the way out under the barrel, and this is for Gen 4s and Gen 5 34 35s. 34, of course, for the Gen 5, and 34 and 35 for the Gen 4s. But this rod replaces it, and like I said, it's so much heavier. It really gives a huge advantage for anybody who wants to shoot fast. And then, of course, you put your slide back on, and it just runs like a charm. So there it is, sticking out all the way out to the top of the barrel. When you close it up, it kind of marries itself up. So that's a really good option for our competition shooters who are shooting the 34s and 35s, which many people are because of the longer sight radius. That extra length guide rod that we put in there is available for, well, Gen 3s, as well as Gen 4 and Gen 5 with the adapter ring. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you. So this new super heavy tungsten guide rod is awesome because it does provide a better better recoil reduction because of the added weight. I mean, that's really what's going on. I can just feel it in here, and it just feels, like I said, so much more centered. It's something that you really should look at if you're looking to, you know, shoot faster, if you're looking to shoot more accurately, if you just want to have a softer shooting gun, whether it's a 9mm 45 or 40 caliber, this guide rod, this new pure tungsten super heavy guide rod, is the best one we've ever developed. It is not cheap, but it is really, really effective. I'm Lenny McGill. This, of course, is the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop right here in San Diego, California. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.